there. You're welcome to the program Total Woman on AD4 TV Radio. My name is Muti Olori. We will be looking at the issue of child abuse because it's been a predominant issue on the airwaves and in many countries and nations of the world. Child abuse is a global problem. We all know that. But in recent times, survey has shown that it's no more a class thing. It's now found in the low and medium income homes and communities all over Nigeria. But the cases that are unreported are much more than the cases that we know. According to United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, child abuse is predominant or prevailing across the 36 states of the Federation. It is indeed very alarming. And I have with me in the studio young people who would like to look at these issues from their eyes. We've been talking, a campaign has been going on by adults, but let's hear what the children have to say. For our information, 16th of June every year is celebrated as the International Day of the African Child. So it's a very good time for us to focus on this issue. I have with me in the studio two young ladies, Divine Oni Mowo and Onome Oko. You're welcome on the program. All right, so we've been hearing a lot about child abuse, assaults, rape. What is your take on these issues when you hear them?
It shouldn't happen. It's not meant to happen at all. Because God created both man and woman to live in harmony. We're meant to be the man's companion, but that doesn't mean they should take advantage of us. Yes, good and fine, we're the weaker gender, but that doesn't mean they should take advantage of us. And I don't see any justice to rape. No rapist should be tempered with justice. Because it's generally just taking advantage of an incompetent person, maybe because they can't say no or they're a weaker person. So you're literally taking advantage of somebody, which is very wrong.
So if we're created equally by God, we should be treated equally.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one should be taken advantage of. Onome, I want to know, what do you even understand by the word, when you hear the word sexual assault or sexual abuse? What comes to your mind? What's your understanding? Because most people just hear the word, but they don't really know what it means.
Well, to the best of my understanding, sexual assault is when a person is forced, pressurized, or tricked into taking part in any sexual activity with another person.
Okay, so what's the difference? Is it sexual assault is different from rape? Is it different from rape?
Well, rape is under sexual assault. Like it's under it because they're just under the same category. Not that they're the same, but they're under the same category.
One is assault, the other one is penetration, as a form of abuse. Okay, Divine, why do you think that children are more of a victim right now than we used to hear? Why is it a prevailing issue right now? What do you think, in your own idea, what do you think is the reason?
Firstly, rape isn't carried out by a stranger. It's mostly by someone that is known to the child. And most parents leave their children in care of like a trusted relative or something. And most rapists are trusted relatives. So it's more rampant nowadays because just relatives are taking advantage of children because they just believe if I do it to her, she won't talk. She'll be too scared to talk. And then if I bribe her with sweets, she won't talk again. Like, I'll stop buying you sweets if you talk. And we children, like, you can bribe us with sweets. Like, we don't know what money is. So, yeah, it's just something that happens.
I like a point that you raised about being trusted. But if what is the role of the parents in this issue? Because if someone lives with me and assaults my child and my child can't tell me, what does that mean?
They don't trust you. Because I not that I can't tell my mom everything, but then like in Nigerian parents, there are certain things you tell your parents and then they won't see it in your own view. So you'll be too scared to tell them when something else happens. And let's say you could be raped. Most parents won't believe, like, yes, my younger brother raped my child. So it's just this problem of parents believing their children or trusting their children, or the child trusting their parents.
Wow. Do you agree to that, Anna?
Yes, I do.
So what do you think we should begin to do?
Well, I think the parents should instill good moral values into your child so that the child knows what the person is trying to do. I think you should teach your child about sex education so that the child will know what the person is trying to do to him and tell you. And as the parent, you yourself is supposed to take quick action against the person.
So it means that some children really don't know what sexual assault or rape is or sexual abuse is.
Yes.
So when this perpetrator is trying to take advantage of them, they don't really know.
Yes, some of them don't know.
Wow. So let's look at quickly the things that young people need to look out for. Behavior or tricks or styles they need to look out for when these perpetrators are trying to trick them into abusing them. Yeah, who wants to go first? Tell us.
First, they lure them, like as she said, children can be easily lured by different kind of things. Like, I'll buy you sweets, blah, 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 all the things that people just use. And children, their greedy nature, they'll just go for it.
So when somebody is luring you, you should be suspicious.
Yeah.
Saying, I'll buy you sweets, come.
Yes, you should be suspicious of the person.
Okay, what else should we look out for as young people?
Like, if your guardian is getting too close to you and getting too touchy, most especially touchy, people tend to ignore touchy attitudes of people. They just see it as they're just being friendly, but most times it's like just to get you closer or for their own desire.
So when someone gets too touchy, especially the opposite sex,
Yeah, you tell them like, please stop. Because if say please stop, they know, okay, I have to back off. But if you don't say stop and then you just see it as a normal thing, they just keep on going.
but some people don't see no as no. When you say stop and you say no, they begin to look at it as probably you're not serious. So what kind of no should we say?
If I'm no, or a physical no, like if it says stop and then you just don't stop, then you like hit something to get their attention, or you hit them, or you report.
Fine, you report. Another thing we should do is what?
The child should take quick action against the person. Like my mother used to say, you carry pepper. Throw it inside the person's eyes, so you become blind and the person can't rape you or assault you in any kind of.
Okay, so let me recap what we've identified now. Be careful when someone is luring you, enticing you with something.
Yeah.
Secondly, be careful at the way someone touches you. Not all touch is friendly touch. Some of them are touches to get you close and comfortable, and then they can assault you. And when it happens, you need to scream, you need to shout, you need to say a very serious no.
And if it requires violence, use
Please fight back.
It's a self.
Like you said, collect the pepper. Spray with you. All right, girls, I want to thank you very much for sharing this moment with me.
Yes,
and I'm sure that girls watching would know what to do. So, okay. All right, I have with me some young boys. Remember, we're looking at the International Day of the African Child, and our focus is on child abuse. So we have the young boys in the studio who also be sharing their own thoughts and experience with us on this issue. Please don't go away.
Just when will all this madness stop? Just when will we think it enough and decide to halt? Just when will we stop to think, wake up, and realize that what we beat, batter, wrestle, rape, hate, maim, kill, and destroy is not just white or black, poor or rich, Muslim or Christian, young or old, boy or girl, woman or man, bound or free, but it's flesh and blood, hearts and souls, its feelings and emotions, dreams and aspirations, its destinies and hopes, expectations and ambitions, the could have, would have, and should have. It's people like us that we injure and tear apart, that we hurt, watch suffer, and bleed to death. Just when will this madness stop?
All right, you're welcome back. This is Total Woman on AD4 TV Radio. My name is Mute Olori, and we are talking about child abuse. And I have some young men in my studio here, amazing, handsome, looking boys, dudes. Obona David and Somto Ibe Uchi. You're welcome. Nice having you. Thank you very much. So we're talking about this issue of sexual child abuse. What's your thoughts on this matter? David.
It's something grievous. It's very horrible, especially to the girl child, because the boys is usually tend to be on the girl child, because the boys can't control themselves, because first it comes from the home. The parents have to train the boy child, tell them, look, when you see, you make some rules, standard rules, especially when you have a sister. You won't want that stuff to happen to your sister. So why would you do it to other persons? If you don't do it to another person, someone will do it to your sister. It's like that. So what I would say is that even fathers too do it to their daughters, which gives psychological trauma, and it might last for a long while. Even there's high risk of them committing suicide. And in Nigeria, we have recent cases like Ochanya, the 13-year-old girl who was molested by her uncle and her cousin. That case, if the girl had spoke up and said, oh, my uncle has been doing this to me since, maybe she would have been helped. But she kept quiet because who knew if they were threatening her, if you talk, I'll kill you. Those are the common threats given to young children. And then we look at examples. We have examples of people who do this. These are pedophiles. They are people who are usually attracted to little children. When it comes to having sex, they depend on little children. And they look for their slightest opportunities. This is where you have a neighbor who is a pedophile. You are going to the market, you have no one in your house to take care of them. You trust him very well. You say, please, help me watch my child while I run to the market. That little opportunity you have given him, everything will come down fast.
The way you painted this picture is really horrifying. But that is the truth.
Yes.
That is really the truth. So, Somto, what are your thoughts on this issue? What do you think we should really do as parents, as a society, as a young boy, as a male child, as a man, as fathers? What do we do?
Okay, thank you. I studied the rape culture, the history of rape culture, and I found out that I started in India, where fathers were teaching their sons to disrespect women, and that grew and has gone worldwide. I think that the parents have a long way to go in this, because there's a popular saying that says charity begins at home. So I think that the parents have to properly train their children, and the children need to go for trainings such as the one I go for, a boys camp. and it has taught me that I need to respect girls. And anyone that beats a girl, first of all, that's this little that's where it starts. That person can be named a coward, and then from there you move on to rape and then other sexual activities. So I think it's a wicked act and the perpetrators must be punished. Thank you.
I like that part. So what kind of punishment do you think the government or the community should give to such persons?
Okay, I'm talking based on myself personally. I think it's just death sentence, because if I saw in security education we treat this, and when I checked other countries, they do the same. For example, China, they also kill the person but also remove the person's genitals. So also I think that it should be death sentence, because life imprisonment, after a long time when they are decongesting the prisons, they give those presidential pardon, and the person goes and repays the person that reported him back.
Exactly.
So I think it should just be death sentence, because if you give the person some prison years, 17, the person comes out and revenges, and the person might even say it in the court, you will see, I will come back for you. Yet this is taken. And if you leave the person there, he might bribe prison officers. But once it's a straight death sentence, we also need to look at the judicial system. It has to be free, not that you keep on postponing the cases. Because once you keep on postponing the cases, it gives the rapist a chance to run away out of the country.
And give other rapists the opportunity to perpetrate more.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they don't think that, it will take a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it's instant,
Exactly.
you commit the crime, you pay the price.
Yes.
And then people will be more conscious to the fact that the law is totally against it and they could be dealt with.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, in your community, David, what are you going to do to help us in this case?
Thank you, but I'll pick up the case from there. I'll start with the parents. As he said, charity begins at home. We all know that. But the parents should really look into the boy child. From the boys' camp I went to, I learned a lot. I was taught a lot. Usually, boys just take girls as objects. Girls are there to cook for them, let them eat. Girls are there for them so that they can have their pleasures. But girls are there for them, for us boys, to protect them. We're there to protect them. That is why we have
start
girls.
by protecting your sisters.
Yes.
And also telling other boys
To protect.
to learn to protect the
Exactly.
girls, okay? And their sisters. That's amazing. Okay. And then another point you said is talk to the parents. To talk to their sons.
Yes.
Okay, final word from you.
Okay. Rape is a very wicked act. So I think the effects are numerous on the rape victims, such as they'll be traumatized, they'll be ashamed, introverted, and they'll be withdrawn from the society. And also they are giving threats. They should know that when they should just try and talk, so that once they talk, prosperity will bear them witness that they talked. So because some rapists, they say they won't believe you, but the truth in fact is that they are just doing that to scare you. Once you talk, people will believe you, or you go to the necessary relevant authorities. So I think that it's a wicked act. Let's all say no to it together. Thank you.
All right, you've heard. No means no. Rape is a wicked act. Anyone assaulting a child or perpetrating any form of sexual abuse against a child, you, according to my guests, we're going to take the ultimate penalty against you. So no means no. I'm going to be talking with a psychologist who will tell us the effect of such an act on the victim itself. Please don't go away.
As the world faces the challenge of the coronavirus pandemic and governments around the world are racing against time, AD4 TV Radio thanks you all for doing your part to stop the spread of the disease. Be safe at home and practice hygiene. Protect yourself and others. Do not panic. Do not self-medicate. Listen to all preventive advice and stay at home, as well as maintain social distancing.
Say no to fake news. Get authentic updates from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the Federal Ministry of Health, the NCDC, and of course, AD4 TV Radio, your reliable and credible channel. Please stay safe to save others.
All right, so I have with me Dr. Ayotunde Omotosho, who is a consultant behavioral scientist. He's going to be sharing his thoughts with us on this issue. Hi, Doctor, you're welcome on the show, Total Woman.
It's great to see you. It's great to be here on the show. And I'd like to extend also my gratitude to you as well as to our viewers.
Thank you very much. Now, there's so much about the child abuse. There's a lot of campaigns and people talking against it because it's becoming very a prevalent issue. But I want to look at it from the victim's point of view. What effect does it have on the victim?
So, sexual abuse has various effects on a victim, and those effects can be looked at, especially if we're talking in the context of child sexual abuse, which you have asked. We can look at it in the context of behavioral effects, psychological effects, or social effects. Now, the biological effects include things like vesico-vaginal fistula, which happens in girls who are underage and are not supposed to be exposed yet to sexual intercourse. Some of the biological effects also include adolescent pregnancies and the attendant effects of those. And then again, there can be sexually transmitted infections, but all of those are simply in the purview of the biological effects. The psychological effects have to do with low self-esteem, depression. For the younger children who are exposed to child abuse, sexual abuse specifically, they can have depression, anxiety, they can have problems of post-traumatic stress disorders. For the adolescents who experience child abuse, sexual abuse, they may be exposed to problems such as post-traumatic stress disorders, substance use disorders, they may become aggressive, they may have impulse control disorders, they may have some tendencies to hurt themselves physically. Those are psychological sequelae. For the social effects, they include things like social stigma. Unfortunately, in our society, as in many different societies, there's a huge level of stigma against victims of sexual abuse. Apart from that, there are also forensic effects that have to do with the law enforcement agencies and the back and forth that often goes into cases that are reported of sexual abuse. So we can look at the effects of sexual abuse as affecting the biological aspects, the psychological aspects, as well as the social lives of the victim. Remembering again that the effects are not only on the victim, but also on the caregivers and the loved ones.
How do we help victims as an individual, as a community? How do we go about helping these victims? Because the things you've listed are so huge. It begins to make me feel like, as a parent, if I see certain things, then I should begin to ask questions. But first, how do we help the victims?
So in looking at the help we render to the victims, it will be very helpful for us to use the Brophen-Brenner's method, or the model by Brophen-Brenner. This means that we're looking at increasing levels of help with respect to the strata of society. So we look not only at the victim, but we look at the next level, which would be the school environment and the home environment, before we now talk about the wider society. So if we look at the home environment, how parents can help is by always having a high index of suspicion and also being very vigilant. There are telltale signs of the child that is being abused. Sometimes they may begin to exhibit sexual behavior. Sometimes they may begin to urinate on themselves in the middle of the night, especially for children who were previously continent. For some children, they may have spots of blood in their urine. For some children, they may find it difficult to sit, and then their gait while walking may have changed. So parents are supposed to notice that. But over and beyond that, there are preventive measures that parents can put in place, such as the parenting style. For parents who are very harsh on their children, those children find it very hard to relate with them and tell them what they're going to them. Yes, and be open to them. So there are do's and don'ts. And what's not to do to a child is to scream at a child who is coming out to talk about these difficult challenges that they may be experiencing or questions they may have regarding sex. It's also important to have age-appropriate sex education from parents to children. That
So
makes it
community-wise, what can we start doing as
yes,
a community?
for the community, that's quite important because we can look at the community at the levels of religious associations. We can look at community leaders. We can look at all forms of community engagement when we begin to talk about these issues. What we're doing in this interview, for instance, is one such societal intervention that is very needful. We need to talk about it, create the awareness, and then when these issues actually do happen, we need to take them up, and law enforcement has to also be involved.
Dr. Ayo, today, thank you so much for enlightening us on this, because some of us really just believe that it's not rape, but we don't understand the enormous effect it has on the victim. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. You've heard it all from our guests. All we're asking for is an access to child-friendly justice system in Africa. And for you and I to say no to rape, no to any form of sexual abuse against a child, against anyone, and no means no. Join us again next week on the program Total Woman when we bring you another issue. My name is Mute Olori. Bye for now.